mistakes and move on. So let's talk about different type of locators in Selenium. Okay, so we know that system.set property we have to do for the Gecko driver in the Firefox, and here's the WebDriver interface, and we're creating a new object here. Okay, and run driver, this reference variable we are using .get amazon.in. Okay, when you click this launches amazon.in. So the first thing that we are trying to first locator that we're looking at is driver find Xpath. Okay, so here we are trying to find Xpath and do tab search button. So if I go to amazon.in, so if I try to click on this inspect, and if I see the ID of this is this do tab search option. Okay, so what we do is here to create an Xpath. Okay, there are two types of Xpath. One is absolute, one is normal. Absolute, and then there is relative. So there's a difference between Xpath. So let me first tell you how to create an Xpath. So it's like for example, we are seeing here that ID is this. So using the ID, we can create Xpath star and then this @ ID equal to this two tab search option. Okay, and this has to be in single quotes. Okay, so if I try to search this find in page, it should ideally be able to search this. I'm also trying to see if I've done it correctly. Yeah, star web search box. Okay, ideally it should work. It should show us the element. So here we can see one element, and which one did it search. We can see that this one is getting highlighted. So here instead of star you can also put input. Okay, then also it would recognize this element. Okay, so star is basically anything. So this is the relative Xpath. Here we are not accessing the element from the root as you can see. I'll just show you. Just a second. This is not visible right now. Okay, so anyways, so this is the thing. So we need to make it visible, the Xpath we create, and then we use the send keys method to pass in the values. So when we run we see that the first driver finds the element by Xpath, it goes to amazon.in, then it finds the Xpath, and then it clicks on that Xpath and writes whatever we have written in the unpass. Okay, so we can see here that is done. So that got clicked because this was there. Okay, anyway, so now this is done. So Xpath is we should use relative Xpath and not absolute. Why? Because relative Xpath versus absolute Xpath, and then in this we can see that absolute Xpath starts from the root node. Okay, and in this it would look something like this. Okay, and we don't want, if tomorrow this element in amazon.in changes from here to here, from here if the search box comes here, so it would change the root element, right? From the root of element, this can change, this can become div2. Okay, these things can change. So yeah, so that's why. So absolute Xpath starts from the root node, and relative Xpath directly jumps to the element and down. and here we can see that we are doing that. It starts with single slash, it starts with double slash. We can see that in absolute directory we use only tags and nodes. Okay, we use tags and nodes. Okay, here we can see in relative expert we use attributes. Okay, here we are id and all our attributes, so we are using that. Here these are all attributes. Okay, so this is the difference between absolute and relative expert. So this, the one which I created was relative expert. All right, so here we have done with XPath. So this is the second. Okay, next is ID. This is given the first priority. So even through ID we can access it. By is the class by dot ID, driver dot find element by dot ID, and then this, and then send keys dot toys. So it would search that. Okay, and then we have name also. Okay, so here we can see in Amazon.in we can see that there is name as well. So we are trying to access the same page and same element using different. So here we can see name is field keyword. So I have added here field keywords. Where is it? Yeah, field keywords has been added, and send keys 1 plus I've added. Okay, then there's link test. Okay, so in case of link test, the value will start from uh, the first of दे दो देना भी थोड़ा है. So in this the value will pass from. So this is only in case of links. So here you can see this is a link, this is a link, this is not a link, this is a link. So when I click on this or this one, so we can see that starts from -a. So in this case we see that. So this is another locator called link test. So we access it by driver dot find element by dot link text. Okay, so cell and then click. Okay, I'm clicking it. So this is another locator, and then there is CSS selector. So you can see, you can ask why did we choose this one. So initially see in the cell, when we talk about cell, here we have the cell option. So we can see at the end this is a link text. Okay, that I wanted to tell you. And apart from that, then we have CSS selector. It internally uses ID only. Okay, so here you can go to any element and right click and copy, and here you can do copy CSS selector, copy selector. Okay, so this can be done also. So there's an option of copy CSS selector as well. Okay, here we are not seeing, I don't know why, but usually we have it. So here if I do, and here if I use copy, CSS selector is there. Okay, so this can be done. So then this is done. CSS selector is also done. It also uses internally ID only, or by class also you can access, but mostly through ID. So how do you access is hash and ID. There are two times search, get search by ID, right? So hash you have to include before that. Then class name, it's not recommended as different elements can have same class. I've written Xpath, but it should be class. Okay, so by class name also you can do, and send key same. And then partial link text. So this is also low priority, because if you can use a part of it, like beauty and personal care, you can just put in beauty, so it would pick just beauty of it. Okay, so here if we have written in the link text, right, cell, so this was a single word, but if there is multiple words, as I said, we can use some of it. It's also low priority. Similarly, class name is also low priority. So there's another one called tag name. Okay, so that also we can access. So mostly this is the plan. So this is how you can access it. So if I want to click on mobiles, right, so what I can do is so I will go to this, and then I will access the mobiles link. Let's see how it runs or not. If we click on mobile, it will go to Amazon, it will search, like look for mobile element, and then it will click on that. Okay, let's see if it works. So it should click here. Okay, see, it clicked. I didn't click it, it clicked on its own. Okay, and I'm closing it right now. So this is how it is. And then how do you handle a drop down then? So now let me talk about priority first. So in this we would give first priority to ID, second priority to XPath, or even CSS selector also can be given second priority, because internally it uses ID only. Okay, and then third priority can be given to name. Okay, and then fourth priority similarly can be given to maybe this link text, and fifth priority can be given to class name or partial link text. So these are pretty much it. Anything else? Yeah, class name can be duplicate for multiple elements, so that's why we are not preferring class name. Okay, and then we have the system.set property. Again, we are doing the same thing, and here we are trying to access the drop down. How do you handle the drop down? So for example, if I'm going to ebay, okay, ebay. So if I want to access this drop down all categories, okay, so how would we use the select class, okay. So we create a new object of select class. Here we have created select is equal to, okay, this is just a reference variable, and we say new select, and this this particular class takes argument as a element. It takes elements as so we give it the element. How do we give it? We go here, we go inspect element, and we check for whatever the, sorry, okay, we go here and we see that select, okay, we see the select is there, and here we can say, what did we use? Here we use the ID, I think, yeah, ID ghcat. Okay, so here we can see that ID is there. Okay, ghcat ID is there, this one. Okay, so we use this ID. Okay, we use this ID, all categories, you can see it got categorized, and then in this also we have different elements, okay, antiques and all that. So then we use the element called select by visible text. Okay, and then we use baby, we choose baby. So if I try to run it, let's see if baby gets selected. So see, the baby got selected. Okay, so this is pretty much it for this video, and we'll see you in the next one. Till then,